Hello and welcome to the DM's Book Club, a weekly book club podcast where we talk about some Dungeons & Dragons most of the time and how we would include it and improve it for our own campaign sessions. With me back again, live from DM's Corner HQ,
yes.
it's myself and the wonderful Alan. Hello, Alan. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing so good. Very excited to talk about this absolutely insane piece of literature that we have in front of us today.
Yes, I'm excited not to bury the leaders of this. This is an interesting supplement for D&D that I've been trying to get someone to read for a long time.
Joke's on you. I read it a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, okay, great, this is an easy sell.
Yeah.
But before we get into it, how have you been? Obviously, we had you on recently to talk about psychics, which has gone down really well.
Yeah.
Any games or anything like that? Any RPGs that you've been looking into? I think you were talking to me a little while ago about Draw Steel.
Yeah, my friend Drew was really interested in Draw Steel, and I remember him kind of suggesting as we would like to play a game of it, and I had a ton of fun with it. The mechanics are great. I think he told me it's very reminiscent of 4th edition for him, and I think he really liked 4th edition. There are some things that I like about 4th edition.
That's
I know.
a very politicking answer.
It's like a crazy, honestly, like I was like, he told me he really liked it, and I'm like, okay, Drew. But like, I also think that there are some great things from 4th edition.
Okay.
And I think that there are some mechanics that I really like, right? However, I think that, very clearly, a lot of people did not like 4th edition. There's a reason that they moved on to 5th edition so quickly, right? But nonetheless, it's also made by Matt Colville, and Matt Colville is a very respected DM in the space, right?
Yeah.
And so, I think that they took a lot of really good, cool stuff from what they liked about 4th edition and 5th edition and things like that. Like, for example, there's only you can either have a +2 or you get an extra success if you're double successful, right? There's no +2, +4, +6. It's just +2 or you've done well. And that's the tiers of things.
Yeah, so slimming down the options before making it ridiculous.
Yes,
as well. Okay,
exactly. It's only one step more than advantage, which is the most slimming down of something, right?
Okay.
So, but I really liked it a lot. I thought that the style was super fun. It did feel like I really did. I can only really judge a lot of it on the mechanics of the combat, though.
Yes.
I don't think I did too much more than that, and it was a one-shot, so there wasn't a ton going on outside of it. But I will say, I loved the mechanics of the combat. It was super fun, so I think that was super great. I'm a very hodgepodge kind of guy. I just like doing a bunch of random stuff, recently been doing woodworking, art, and music, and that's what I've been doing.
Love the creative hustle,
Exactly. Sometimes that's the great thing about ADHD. I can find cool stuff everywhere, and I just do. So yeah,
that's fair enough. Yeah, because Draw Steel officially launched just at Gen Con. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, Daggerheart is the other one. So the big spectrum of RPGs. We obviously have Draw Steel at one end, D&D sort of in the middle, and then Daggerheart at the other end. And obviously, you better like one of the three of them.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But I heard that you were at Gen Con. That's so cool.
Yeah.
What all happened there?
So I went primarily to sell books, which is always good fun. I saw some people there, and yes, the big news is that I'm now an Ennies judge.
So cool.
Which is very cool. Although when I tell people that, some people, including your reaction, is what is that?
I still think it's really cool though. When you tell me, you're like, we talked about this earlier, and I was like, I don't know what that is, and then you had to give me this whole. But I still think after hearing it, I'm like, that's really awesome. Yeah. I think it's really, really awesome.
It's an honour, and again, not that I thank you. If listeners have voted for me in the thing, thank you very much. I very much appreciate it. I did not expect to get on the panel, but I appreciate it. And again, just a way to my experience as someone who reads a lot of games and runs a lot of games, just be like, so judge some games and see how that goes. So that's the big thing, which is very exciting. Yeah, and saw some people from the podcast network that I'm on, and generally just had a good time. I played in my first ever con game. I've never played in a con game before.
Whoa.
I've always run games. I've never played in them. And it was okay.
Yeah.
It was. You know what? I was glad that I was on the other side, and I saw how nervous the GM was, and I was like, I have been in that seat. Yeah. I'm going to make this super easy for them.
That's awesome.
It was a good experience. The system but hey, you know what? That's fine.
Yeah, you do what you can, honestly. You never really know, especially with con games. You're if you're just running something, it's I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you never know who you're going to get because you can't necessarily vet people, and of course people want to come for certain experiences and stuff. And I'd signed up to this playtest because I knew it was a friend of a friend of a friend who made it, and I was like, you know what? I will go and check it out. And like I said, it was fine. Wasn't necessarily my flavour of game, but as we said, we've got the Draw Steel, we've got the D&D, we've got the Dagger Heart.
Yeah.
There's always an RPG for everyone. There's not one RPG for you. So. But yes, I came back very tired. Yeah. It's taken a little while to recuperate, but I'm back. I'm ready to do some more DM's Book Club.
Nice. Yeah, me too. Especially about Feast of Legends.
Yes, Feast of Legends. So, Alan, for those people who've been living under a rock, what is Feast of Legends?
Yeah, Feast of Legends. Oh, gosh. Well, hold on. Let me read the full title.
Please.
The full title is Wendy's Presents Feast of Legends Rise from the Deep Freeze, which is an absolutely insane title. Like, already we're shitposting in the title, right? Yes. Like, it's absolutely insane. Like, most of this entire book is, like, written, I would say, as a kind of an adjacent to 5e kind of like system, right? Mm-hmm. But additionally, half of the sentences in this book are jokes. Yeah. And it's all just bad shit posting by Wendy's, but they know it's bad shit posting. Yes. So it's kind of like a joke in and of itself. The joke is that it exists. Yes. It's like a thing. So yeah, it's definitely, I find there's a lot of humor in here, though I do think that if you read more than 4 pages, you're like, man, I have seen this joke before. And it is like, wow, that's really cool. But like when they start reusing them, you're like, oh no, that's not as good.
It's happening again, yeah. It's, again, I will say this obviously as a British person, I did not really realise that Wendy's was basically ones that would take out and be very happy to like talk shit about all the other competitors. Oh, yeah. Which is wild, because I'm reading this through and I'm there going like, well, this weird clown villain in the campaign sounds like Ronald McDonald, I guess. And then the creeping king with the paper hat. I'm like, I mean, that sounds like Burger King. Yeah. But again, and also I appreciate this came out in 2019 as well. Yep. So obviously these jokes are maybe a little bit old, and I'm just like, I feel very old and no idea what we're talking about.
Well, and at the time that this came out too, the Wendy's Twitter account was super popular, right? Like, because there was this whole thing where the Wendy's Twitter account was like really famous for like its clapbacks and like the ways that it was like dunking on people at the time, like on Twitter. And it was very much, this is in the same vein as that feeling of that, like that Twitter account, the way that it was ran, this type of management that the Twitter account had, the same type of humor is very much written into this story.
Oh, interesting. So, I guess because that's the thing for me, is that this is wild as a TTRPG book, which is like a fully good first attempt with its own system.
It's over 100 pages.
Yeah. Bonkers. I'm really, at the time, a decent PR move, because obviously with the Rise of Critical Role, getting a sponsored one-shot with Critical Role, we could talk about, it was at New York Comic Con as a book that was being given out. And, and an exclusive, there was like a separate sheet which was like for a different class that's not included, called the Spicy Nugget. And you're just like going like, wow, there's been a lot of thought and a lot of promotion that's gone into this.
And the effort is sincere. Like, the effort in this, like, if you take a look at the PDF, like, you can find it online. Of course, I don't think there's anywhere that, like, Wendy's has anymore, because they have scrubbed this shit from the internet. But, like, if you find a PDF of it, like, there is someone who you can tell. We were talking about this a little earlier, but, like, there is, when you have a person who is designated as the person who is focused on a style guide, right? They are like, this is how things need to be laid out. This is how, like, I need here's where the art goes. Here's where, like, this is what all the borders have to look like. This is the color palette we're using. These are the type of things that are really important for having, like, a guide for styles, right? Making things feel cohesive and good. Yes. And they're like, okay, the art has to be high quality, right? Yes. The art in here is good. It's really good.
Really good.
And, like, it's very funny to have, a map that's called, the Top Bun Mountains, the Bottom Bun Mountains, Lake John Silver, the Box. And it's like, these things are actually very silly and fun, right? But the map is good, right?
Yeah,
it's
a beautiful
well-crafted.
The cartography is great. Like, even when we go on later, when it's setting up certain encounters and stuff like that, I'm there going like, this feels very original compared, like, we've got the various, like, this, but there's, like, baked in that theme of, like, this is a Wendy's book. And, like, again, in my head, reading this through, like you said, a lot of it is jokes. But in my head, I was like, if this was very successful, I could imagine seeing future, the box, John Silver. Like, I can imagine that. Hey, we're going to go on another adventure, and even in this book, it talks about like, well, maybe you can go check out the Creeping King, and I'm like, this is again. You could tell that this was going to be the setup or the launch pad for possibly several months for years to come.
Honestly, I think that for me, I think the system is like, it's very serviceable, right? Like, I don't think that it's like incredible, right? I do think that if you, I think you had said this earlier where like it doesn't hold up to a ton of scrutiny, but like, I think that like if you like legitimately go in here and take a look at all of the different classes, like, I mean, you can play them all pretty well, right? And I think that, like, generally, you may get tired of some of the buff systems that they have.
Yeah, the buffs aren't brilliant, I'll be honest, but
they're kind of bad. In my personal opinion, like, hey, saying in your rule book that you can get a buff for eating nuggets that day, kind of cringe. I don't like that. That's kind of awful. I kind of hate it. So
I don't know. I vibe with that quite hard.
I hate it because the debuffs, you get debuffs for eating McDonald's that day. It's like stupid.
Salad and the sub sandwich. Yes, I know. I was like, clearly someone's gone like, what about this? And they've gone, great.
Like, put it in the book.
It feels like, again, there's people are bunching around ideas. Are like, and someone's gone like, no one's going to play this. Yeah. That's what it kind of feels like. And
man, I mean, at the end of the day, it looks great. I was reading through it. It's pretty funny. But man, there have been. Gosh, I'm just looking at the map again now, and it says Temple of Panda, and I laughed internally again, and I was just like, damn, that is funny.
Yeah.
But ultimately, there have been a lot of things around this as to reasons as to why it's not around anymore as well.
Let's dive into that, because I think that's good context before we go in and maybe critically review this first go, essentially.
Yeah.
So because you know a little bit more about this than I do, because obviously you've watched a bit more.
I watched it live.
Yeah, so explain. So what do you mean when you say watch it live?
Yeah, so when I was originally... When this book first came out, the first thing that I heard about it from was the fact that Sam Riegel was doing a Critical Role one-shot on their Twitch channel, their main Twitch channel. They were like, we're doing the Wendy's TTRPG. I was like, what the hell? Like, not only is there a Wendy's TTRPG, they're doing a one-shot of it on Critical Role. So very odd, but I was interested in watching it either way.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, at the time, I think it was like, so 6 years ago, I was 24 or so. And every Thursday was my self-care day, right? And so I would try and not have anything scheduled. And at that time, I think if I wanted to go get some food and not make dinner that night, I'd go get Wendy's or something like that. And so I thought it was really serendipitous, right? And it was so weird. So I was sitting there eating my nuggets, watching Sam Riegel dictate Wendy's stuff to people. And I was like, this is so silly and fun, right? And I thought it was very fine. I didn't watch the whole thing. I was like, that's fine, right? Yeah. It's not really exactly what I'm here for. Yeah. But I was having an okay time.
Yeah.
And and then afterwards I looked back the next day and it wasn't there. And I was like, what's going on here? And I was very confused because Matt Mercer put out an apology on Twitter. And I was like, dang, wait, what's going on here?
What happened?
And so apparently, after I was doing some research into kind of what was going on, Wendy's is generally politically very charged, right? Critical Role is historically very progressive and left, right? And Wendy's, long story short, very right-leaning and Republican. And for example, they have a pack that they have high suggestions of their employees or their franchisees to donate to, and those oftentimes almost exclusively go to Republican causes. Additionally, for the workers' rights of farmers, there's this thing called the Fair Food Program, right? And a lot of businesses that are fast food systems or fast food companies like Wendy's, or not like Wendy's, explicitly not Wendy's.
Yeah.
Like McDonald's and Burger King and Yum Brands, things like that. They have all kind of signed on to this as a way to say, like, hey, this is for the safety and the quality of work of farmers and things like that. And Wendy said, actually, we're going to move our production to Mexico.
Yes.
And then, when they save all that money, like, wow, they've got this extra budget. For what? Maybe advertising, right? And it feels weird when that extra budget or that potential for that goes to, that feels bad for them to have it, and then to see advertising or things like that come back to be shown on Critical Role as this very left-leaning group, and then pushing that forward, this brand of Wendy's. I didn't even know this at the time when I was watching this, and it's good for me to know now, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of informs some of the decisions I make now, but nonetheless. But also, the joke of this book is that it's very aware that it's an ad.
Yeah.
Right? It's aware that it's a Wendy's ad.
It's like you said, it's about 100 pages of an ad.
Right,
yeah.
exactly. And it's joking about itself in the ad, right? It's like it's, taking shots at itself, right? But once it's like a real thing that people are playing as an ad on Critical Role, it's no longer like a joke. It's just like an ad, right? And so I think that really put a lot of people off too, right?
Yeah.
And so I think those three things are like the core of the scenario that put people over the edge on like why there was a lot of backlash, right? I think in totality, probably not malicious. It was probably they were looking at the book and like, hey, this is funny, and they just wanted to do it, and they were like, maybe we can get sponsored and we can do this funny book.
Yeah,
right?
and Sam Riegel, I think up to that point hadn't run a game.
Yeah,
and so they're like, we need something that's silly and fun that he can really hone his improviser skills, because that's what he is. He's an improviser. So and as I've of today managed to find the elusive VOD and watched it myself, and it is fine.
It's fine. It's like fine. Gosh.
It's interesting because like you can see their ideas there, and a lot of it isn't in the book.
Yeah.
It's mostly Sam just going like, we're going to have a fast fry eating contest.
It's so silly.
Here's the thing at the end, which is just a load of burgers. We didn't get to it. It's fine. I'm going to put a ponytail like woven wig on and be the queen and do voices. Yeah. Great. Yeah. And it's interesting because I was watching it, and you've got the 4 guests on it as well, and Matt Mercer's also a player on it. And people, I went into a big Reddit hole, and it was interesting because like a lot of it was puns. Yeah. So many puns, which again, not for everyone. But they were saying like, oh, Matt looked really sad, and you see this, and he's like, ooh. And I was like, at the time thinking, well, I'm watching it, I assume he's just not enjoying the puns because they're. But then people afterwards were like, maybe he doesn't like being like selling out to a corporate or something like that. And I'm like,
I feel like that's a lot of projection.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of insertion of other people's ideas and like psychoanalyzing there. Exactly. And I feel like we cannot go beyond the data.
We don't know.
Right? We do not know. We cannot make assumptions about how a person is feeling based on that. Like, yeah, if Matt were to come out and say, like, I was uncomfortable that whole stream because of this, then like, you can make that claim. But there's no data for that.
And also, he could have just said, I'm not going to be a part of this, and then not play it. Yeah, that's the other thing. Because I think he is bold enough to do that as a GM.
I think explicitly as, like, one of the people who, is kind of like the linchpin of the whole show. He probably has the sway. So,
exactly. So it was interesting because like when I watched it, like again they mention Wendy's, they don't even really use the system. They have fun. They do their silly characters, and then they obviously they got food from Wendy's, and that's kind of it. But I agree with what you're saying in the sense of like, if you had all, if you knew all this and seeing this, it does feel, oh well, look, it's the nice smiling Wendy's logo. We're all really lovely, but actually we're screwing you over, and we want you to like us so that we can get through to that popular vote possibly and influence people. And so,
and I think that's what people took away from that. And like, it does suck because like as we said, the people who put the effort into this, they did great work, right?
And it was something I was saying to you before, and again, I say this with the big pinch of salt that obviously I'm no expert on these things either, but when we're thinking about nowadays of when people are talking about boycotts and stuff of certain things, which I definitely feel is a lot more strongly about, for example, like, maybe boycotting Disney Plus because of the stuff with Gaza and Palestine and all that sort of stuff, or, just AI art, as we were talking about before. Like, it's like, this feels, and I said it before off recording, and I still think it feels like a nothing burger. But at the time, obviously, massive big deal. But I guess obviously 2019 was just before COVID, and that changed everyone's view of everything. So that's why I'm just there going, I genuinely couldn't even, I was looking for what the controversy was, and I couldn't really find much on it myself. And I'm just there going like, wow, I don't want to invalidate anyone's feelings about it. Yeah. But it feels like it feels like a long time and a short time since that point, and I feel like we've moved away from something like that completely, whether for good or for bad. Yeah,
I feel like if this were printed today, like, I don't know, I don't feel like the amount of effort in like the marketing team is like the same, and I don't feel like, I don't know, I would expect if this were coming from any fast food company, I would expect AI art of some kind or something like that. Yeah. But like, this was in the time before AI art was good. Yeah. Right? Like, 2019, I don't think that, I remember AI art being like those like really weird orb and multicolor kind of things, and it's like, look, this computer made art, and it's like, all right, it's shit.
I guess.
Yeah. But then, like, since then, AI art is like very, very much more prolific recently, and that's one of the good things about this. I'm like, they definitely didn't use AI art, right? Because it's before the time where it was good. Yeah, so,
and they credit their artists and cartographers. They don't credit the writers, interestingly enough. Well, I'm sure we'll go into maybe why that is, but the artwork. I think my big takeaway from it is that I really love it. There's some really cool pieces. There's not enough of the monsters. That's the only thing I say. Like, I'm like, oh, that sounds like a really interesting thing. And obviously they're all food related in some way. And then you have a couple of pieces of the big ones, and I'm just like, but what about these burglar bandits? And what do they look like? I can describe them, but I want to see an image of them, because you've already put in so much effort to this. Yes. Let's give us some more, please.
And honestly, I feel like that's kind of the tell of like a good piece of art, right? When you're like, all the rest of this art is great, I want to see more
of it,
right? Yeah. And I feel like that's the testament to like how good the design of this book is. Yeah. So even like the little things, like the pieces of the corners of the pages, like the logo, there's like at the edge where normally you see these like pieces of filigree or like these just tiny designs, the edges are like the Wendy's icons, and then like with the page numbers at the bottom. And I'm like, man, that's a cool design feature, right? Yeah, things like that. I don't know. I feel very much and they even had a digital dice roller for this thing.
I think that's bonkers. That they had.
Cool.
I mean, that's like, again, keeping it all around it. Yeah, I think it's great. Yeah.
And now it's all gone because they scrubbed it all from the internet.
The only place you can get this particular PDF is if you go onto the Internet Archive. That's where it's been loaded up to. Yep. And of course, if you ask around about it, I'm sure someone will give you a link to it as well if you're not so sure about it. But the other thing to mention as well, which I didn't really realise, is that, I assume the reason that it got produced in the first place, a mixture of like capitalising on Critical Role and stuff like that, is that in 2019 would have been about 50 years since Wendy's was sort of founded.
Oh,
so
interesting.
I think it's supposed to be like, hey, it's been 50 years. Put something out. I mean,
that's interesting.
Very recently, obviously, we've had 50 years of D&D.
That's true.
So that's why I'm like, interesting. And the reason I say that is that it mentions at the beginning that she's been the ruler of Freshtovia since 1969.
Freshtovia.
Freshtovia.
Because it's fresh and never frozen. There's like literally a joke in the name.
I assume
it's terrible.
That's her whole shtick. But then in the campaign, because there is not just like how to create characters, there's a whole shocking campaign. Yeah. It says that it's been 50 years since she's taken over the rules. So
that's why we're having. Cool. You're right. Yeah. You're so exactly right.
So I thought that was really interesting.
Wait. Okay, so in the contents, oddly enough, like the table of contents kind of is. It's like kind of only a little bit of the... Okay, so the table of contents goes over all of the player stuff and then just does not detail any of the GM
have
stuff.
Fun. And then halfway through it goes, welcome to the GM section. You're like, wait, what? Yes, I agree.
All right. Yeah, but I really would have liked to see all of the table of contents at the beginning. But ultimately, there's, 24 pages of that, and then 35 pages up until the table. There's another table of contents on page 34.
Yes.
That is starting all of the GM stuff, and that goes all the way to page 86, which is the appendix, where it's all of the different monsters that you can use.
Yeah.
So kind of a crazy Yeah, sorry. I'm just like looking at it over. I'm like, this is so much weird content.
It's kind of wild, again, because I just assumed maybe at some point they were going to try and put it into 2 books, perhaps, and have you could print this out and then have like the GM's guide and the player guide. I mean, admittedly, for the player section of it, dead straightforward. Like we said, it is a D&D adjacent system. Yeah. I am wondering why they didn't use D&D.
Well, because, I mean, I guess at the time, they could have just used the SRD, right? They could have been like, hey, this is this, but maybe they were worried about it being like, giving, like, because if they use it as advertising, and then they're advertising it as D&D, like, I don't know if there's some sort of thing there, because I don't know if the SRD, no, the SRD does, the original SRD for 2014, no, when did it's irrelevant. Ultimately, it lets you have like a lot of leeway on even monetization. Right,
exactly. So I think, I don't know if they were like, hey, we have to make this legally distinct. Maybe that was what it was. But so it feels like to me, like, again, the system itself is straightforward. It's a D20 plus or minus a few things, but you have like 5 stats. And then maybe it's supposed to build around the different orders as well. So we have the order of the chicken, the order of the beef, and the order of the sides.
Thank you for saying that. I was going to explode if I had to explain if I had to say the different orders. Oh my god, I'm going to have to say so much this time. Never mind. I'm still going to have to say a bunch of stuff that's going to make me internally struggle.
We won't go into it in too much detail because again, this is all very much Wendy's themed, right? You know, and like so the order of the chicken, for example, is all like the subclasses are like spicy chicken sandwich, home style chicken sandwich, grilled chicken sandwich. I can't even say this one. The Asiago Ranch Chicken Club.
Asiago Ranch Chicken Club.
Yeah, Chicken Club. And then the order of the chicken nuggets. So not the spicy chicken nuggets that we had before. And then the order of the beef, we have the order of the Baconator. The order of the Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, the order of the Dave's Double, and the order of the Double Stack. Now, I've got to be honest, they all sound like the same thing to me.
Honestly, like, I'm there with you. Yeah. And then, the order of the sides is order of the Frosty, order of the French fries, order of the Baconator fries, order of the chili, and order of the baked potato. I'm not going to lie, some of these things feel way less cool than the rest of them.
Hey, I feel like I could play a good baked potato order.
I feel like I'm just like sitting here like, what's the dumbest thing I could play? I want to play Order of the Chili.
Yes, exactly.
It's so silly.
Everyone's just sides. Because in my head, and I don't know if this is true, I feel like the sides are always the sidekicks or the support ones, right? I feel like we're all like, okay, we've got Frosty, we've got French fries and chili. We need a Baconator.
Yeah, we need a Baconator. But like, I think that is one of the things that this suffers from is like that it's really funny to read like some of the things in here, and then I think we've talked about this a little bit, but like, man, once you read the jokes multiple times, you're like, okay, like, all right, I get it. It is funny. You're right. It's funny, but it's like you've brought this to show and tell multiple times. Yeah. So, I think that even like one thing that I noticed as I was going through the different classes was like a lot of them actually have the same feature in different spots. Yes. And it felt weird because like some of them you'd get like extra attack at like level 3 and some of them you get extra attack at level 5. And I was like, what's going on here? It's a little weird. And honestly, sometimes in some of those places I felt like it was maybe a little rushed for balance or something like that. Yeah. So, I think that overall, like, it's best consumed, like, at a glance. Yes. It's really funny looking over it, but once you scrutinize, all of a sudden things are like, I don't know. Yeah. So,
I agree with you. Like, the class abilities, again, there's like 5 different chicken orders. And they're all very similar.
Do we need 5?
I don't think we do. I think, honestly, it should be free for each of them. Yeah. And then just fight it out for the best. Like, as much as I love the baked potato, I don't know how popular it is at Wendy's, you know what I mean? But I think the one thing I did find interesting was that, the big difference is that it goes up to level 5. Yeah. And then a lot of the level 5 abilities are once per long meal, essentially. Yeah. And I thought those were quite cool. Like, I think the Baconator one was like, when you roll a successful action attack, you can attack 6 times. Yeah. I'm like, that's fucking wild. Yeah. Yeah, I want to play that. You know, I like the idea of like, you have this one special thing. I'm like, that's really cool. Yep. I don't see it playing a long-term campaign of this. Oh, let's just make the characters like, these are your 5 things that you get from your character. And that's it. You know, like, I feel like don't, like, tempt me with a good time. Yeah. I want that level 5 ability now. I'm not going to be passive, like, ooh, get fresh or whatever it was. Yeah. These passive abilities, like,
gosh. Yeah, I don't think that, oh, God. Yeah, because, okay, let me, like, not... kind of go over that. Let me go over that really quickly.
Yes, please.
Because essentially what goes on in here is there is a entire section about gaining buffs, and I'm just going to go ahead and try and find that really. Yeah, great. Here it is.
Page 10.
Yeah. I literally have written on, to kind of peel back the curtain a little bit right now.
Yeah.
I have an iPad that I pull my PDFs up on, and I annotate that a lot, just because I'm going to forget stuff. And so when I go in, I will write things on this PDF to remind myself what's going on. The only thing I have written on page 10 is bruh. I have one bruh for the first set of buffs, and then an even larger bruh for the second set of debuffs, right? And you get buffs based on if you've eaten Wendy's. And then a certain item on the menu gives you different buffs. So, it'll just be your strength is higher today because you've eaten a cheeseburger.
Yep.
Or, your intelligence is higher because you've eaten French fries. Great. But also you get debuffed if you've eaten at a frozen burger joint. You suffer +1 ice damage to all attacks. You suffer +1 ice damage to all attacks in the day. I think we found a misprint.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Pizza. Add a -2 modifier to all charm rolls for the day. Things like that. It's crazy. And so I'm hey man, probably shouldn't play with those. But
yeah, I can't. In
this page.
This whole page as well, but also yes, gas station food add a -2 to all intelligence rolls for the day. That's funny. There's no gas stations as far as I can tell in this fantasy setting. Yeah. So it's again, it feels like this is a jokey thing that you pay what you want on Drive for RPG or something like that. Yeah. But I like the idea. Again, we need to be different. How can we be different? And with the equipment stuff as well, it's trying to be different. We've got, what was it? The foil wizard robe.
Yep.
We have, weirdly, fishing poles. I'm not entirely sure why we have fishing poles.
Yeah. You're right. What? That's so weird.
Yeah, we've got basic, advanced, master. I don't know if you're going to do any fishing in this game. But we've also got stuff like clamshell packaging.
Yep.
Various weapons which are all
And I want to be clear. Clamshell packaging is armor. That's armor.
Bonkers.
That's in the armor section, right? Just in case, because you just said the words clamshell packaging.
Yes.
That's a set of words, right? But that's in the section that's called armor. So, just the same, red polo, black visor.
Yes, I was going to say armor. But
what?
So this is the thing. I genuinely want to ask you, I kind of know the answer. I'm not sure, but if you had just read this, do you assume that you are people, or do you assume that you are food items?
Oh, I think, especially if I didn't have the art, I might think I'm a food item.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that... Okay, so my imagination is kind of those old McDonald's cartoons and things like that, and be oh, this is a talking chicken nugget. Very well. So I would feel I might just imagine myself in clamshell packaging.
Right.
And that's my armor. But I don't know how to visualize clamshell packaging on a humanoid being, right? I'm thinking yes, here I am, the order of the spicy chicken, and I've got clamshell packaging, and what does that mean? What does that actually mean?
You've got a big spoon and a whisk.
Yes,
and then,
my weapon is a fork.
Yes.
And it's I don't know what you mean. So I guess, you're right. I think food item.
The reason is because I assumed, again, from the artwork, you are humanoid people. Again, we've got some really cool artwork. But then from watching the Critical Role VOD today, definitely, certainly Matt Mercer's character was some sort of had some sort of grilled chicken aspect to their character, and they were talking about how tasty are we to eat, all that sort of thing. And I was just I'm not entirely sure.
I don't know. Yeah,
what's going on?
Yeah. Going back, I don't know if I do either.
Yeah.
So
I mean, again, doesn't matter. But then, I think even Liam O'Brien asked at the beginning, "So are we food? Are we not?" And Sam was like, "Well, we're gonna find out." And he goes, "Cool. Are we going to explore topics of cannibalism?" Because
that's so funny.
It's because we've looked at some other books on here before, because food supplements RPGs are really big. We've got this is where I can't remember what it's called now, but we had the one we did recently where it is a bit like Crown of Candy, where you could be a cupcake, or you could be a burger, and like how you create your characters is through those sort of tags. You're like, okay, I'm a lasagna, so I'm a food item, not a beverage, all that. And
wild.
Interesting. That's how you create characters. And it had a whole big story about this big war between all the different places. Like you had, I think it was the ice cream people versus the sundae people, and the sundae people do not want to be called ice cream people, so they've got their own republic. So so that's why I'm like going like, would this fit in that? And the answer is I don't know, and I don't know if it's up to you. Like ultimately, I don't think this is going to be a serious game. Obviously, from what we've talked about. But then I'm like, how far do you lean into it? Is this your first? Who is the audience for this book? You know what I mean?
And that's why I think I say like it's best consumed at a glance, right? Yeah. Because I feel like it's like, oh haha, like people who have done D&D before. This is like something where it's like funny, but like, could I see myself for 5 sessions sitting down and playing a Wendy's ad? No. Right? That's too much time for me to play a Wendy's ad, right?
Yeah, especially when this campaign takes up like 60 pages of this book. Yeah. And definitely I was reading it and going like, there's 5 parts to this. This is like 5 to 7 sessions.
Yes.
Possibly. I mean, the campaign itself we can talk about, but it is like, if you are you just a Wendy's fan, and you're like, I'll get into D&D, or you're a D&D fan, and you're like, well, I like Wendy's. Like, and if it's not D&D, like I'm thinking of like the Stranger Things starter set, or the Rick and Morty stuff. It's like, I like these things. Yeah. Oh, we'll get into D&D. Yep. Here I'm just there going like, Wendy's. Yeah. But as a role play, it's just a novelty of it. But I'm like, what's the aim? Is that I go, cool, I'm going to buy the Wendy's D20. I'm going to buy more of it. It's just kind of like, it's a cool idea, but who's it for? Yeah,
I think, truthfully, it was probably me, the person who was
watching the
exactly the person who was like, you know what? It's my self-care day. I don't want to make dinner tonight. I'm gonna get Wendy's, and it was like, wow, I am the audience for this, and I didn't watch the whole thing. And so it's like, but like I feel like they really their core audience was probably people watching Critical Role and things like that, who could observe it and consume it at a glance, right? Because they didn't have to dig into the system; they could watch it. But that I feel like some people online kind of speculate that Wendy's was kind of trying to like bait Critical Role into doing it, and I feel like that may be a little too far of a stretch.
That's way too far. Yeah,
but like I feel like there's a lot of stuff that I could just be like, okay, this is funny, but then right as they kind of shunted it out of their channel, right? Like they just kicked it out super quick. They've scrubbed everything about it from like Critical Role did. That was pretty much the death of their core audience immediately. So I think that was it. And
because it's interesting, because like going back to Critical Role, obviously they've done so many collaborations of stuff like and various video game aspects which are also a one shot, and they've got mostly Matt do that. And so I don't know if it was just like this is too much, but we're going to keep to these serious ones because we've been in the game ourselves, or like we have friends who do it, or it's a system that we all trust. I think they did like a Lord of the Rings, like Shadows of Mordor, or something like and it's all really interesting, because I'm just saying like, oh, these are safe ones because they're part of the maybe approved. Oh, Laura's in that game. Yeah, we'll play that. So, and then going like this, oh no, this is too far. Even though easily, I mean, in this current climate, actors are doing adverts for loads of different things.
They are.
I've seen those Super Bowl adverts with Seal. So it's like. Again, different era, and again, as an outside perspective coming in, I'm going like, this is wild. Like we had, back in the UK, we had Kevin Bacon selling our phone adverts, and I was like, that's weird that he's doing that, and not like an up-and-coming like actor or something. And then to come here and be like, wow, Ryan Reynolds is doing the same thing here, and he's in my head, a big movie star, and should be making a lot of money. And then you see like Lindsay Lohan is doing stuff. It's just like, what is going on? Clearly like the cost of living crisis.
I guess so.
Yeah, actors need their money, but so there's nothing off the table, I guess. But it's such a different environment to 6 years ago.
Yeah, and you know what? I think when you made the comment earlier about like it could potentially be something that you would pay what you want on Drive-Thru RPG, right? If I thought about it, and I was like, would I grab this if it were any more than 1 cent? Probably not.
No.
Right? Like, would I ever look at this if it cost me any money at all? No. Right? I probably would be like, well, I'm either going to look for it on the internet for free, or I am not going to consume it, right? And at that point, it's like, okay, like, if that's the case, then yeah, the audience is really slim, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. There's some funny jokes in here, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, when you roll your health, it's 4d4, so it's a 4 for 4, which is a thing on their menu. And I was like, hey man, that's a funny joke. Mm-hmm. That's really funny.
Yeah.
But most of it is jokes, and so, like, I don't know. How critical would you like to get about like all of the classes and things?
I don't know. I'm not getting too critical about the classes, but I do like stuff like feast mode as being the critical.
That's actually cool. I like that a lot.
Like, you just do full damage, and then you get advantage on the next attack.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. That's if you roll a d20, 20, yeah. Yep. Big oops is if you roll a 1, which I think it's... But one thing they didn't do in the VOD I saw was that you would then, do natural 1, fail, but you could... well, maybe it's not on this one. Maybe someone made it up. I saw someone say, like, if you roll a D100, you can see how badly they have fucked up, essentially.
Oh, interesting.
I just realised that's not in the book. Someone else to put that up. I like that. I like making the big oops, like, going, like, you've really stuck up.
I like that a lot, too.
Yeah. And then instead of an opportunity attack, it's just cheap shot. Yep. I think it's great. I like that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Ultimately, what I take away from these classes, I look at them and I go, they all feel very similar.
Yeah.
And like you said, all the abilities are different places. So it feels like I would have to go through them personally, and if we were going to play it, I'd be like, okay, here are the 5 okay classes, because they don't do too much in terms of overlap. Yes. And then we can add a few bits and pieces to them. But yeah, it would require me to get really deep into it. And as you said, I'm just going, I think one chicken burger is probably the same as another.
Yeah. It's like, oh gosh, like I don't really need all. Like, I do really think that if they made 3 classes or 3 things for each one, that's the amount of content that I feel like they have, because I feel like they duplicate some things, and I'm like, if you just had 3, this would fit that amount really well. But maybe they were like, going over 100 pages sounds good, or something. I don't know what it was, right? But it does feel like a lot. But the art's great for them all. It's really good. Like, when I go through here and I'm just scrolling through stuff, I'm like, man, this treasure chest full of chicken nuggets on page 15 is really good. It's super awesome. Like, all of this stuff is really, really rad. So I don't know, man. Like, I just scrolled through this thing just for the art. Like, they have a spatula on page 17 that is just made of fire, and it's really cool. Yeah. And I love it. So I don't know, man. So, yeah. I
remember what the other book was. It was called The Tasty Lands of Silver Plate. That's what it was called.
Cool. Nice.
It has some good art. And so that character creation I was talking about the different tags. So I like that idea of, like, okay, you have the order of the chicken, order of the beef, order of the sides. And you're like, okay, here are some tags that you can put in. And then you're like, the fresh tag here or whatever. And then you can build your class from those ones specifically.
Okay.
I think that would be more interesting, because otherwise they just, like you said, all sound the same.
Yeah.
It gives some like sample builds as well. Like, again, in Silver Plate, it talked about, like, if you are a beverage, here are some ideas. Or it was always fast food, which always made me laugh, which is ironic when we're talking about this. But like, you could be a salad or an apple. I'm like, okay, well, what are the tags that associate with that? So you could either build the tags and then think of a food that relates to that, or you could be like, here's the food I want to be. How can I... What tags would go with it? Like a lasagna.
I see, okay.
Is it leftovers? Is it this and stuff like that? So that's what I'm thinking, is like, you have the Baconator, or you have the French fries, or whatever. It goes, cool. What are the tags that go with that? I think it'll be interesting.
I'm wondering, now that I'm thinking about this, as I go back and I look at this, and we're talking about kind of like how... It does feel maybe like a little bit too generic in like the sense of like it being like D&D adjacent, or like, why didn't they just use 5e? But maybe it's just like, it does feel like some of it is very like, here's copy paste, put jokes in, right? And so maybe considering we were like, there's 5, we want to meet this quota, or like, we're copying, pasting abilities, putting them in different places, right? Like, that leads me to feel more like there was some sort of like rush to move this out or something like that too. So I'm feeling that right now. I'm not sure. I'm completely speculative.
No, I feel that too. But then it's really interesting then now why it's almost 100 pages.
Yeah.
Because surely then in my head it's like, okay, you're going to have some like 3 to 5 pre-generated characters. Here's a quick way of how to build your own character.
Yeah.
And then an incredibly short, maybe like 5-page adventure.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, let's talk about this campaign.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to sit back a little bit because I skimmed the campaign.
Yep.
But I heard that you've told me that you've got some good knowledge on it, and I want to hear you. I want to hear you go in.
We'll find out. So it is a base. What's interesting about this campaign is that essentially you come to Freshtovia. Is that right?
Yeah, Freshtovia.
Freshtovia. My bad. Sorry. And there's a big celebration. There's always these campaigns start with a big celebration because the Queen is turning 50. Although she looks so youthful with her red pigtails, almost as if she's a logo. Ha, ha, ha. In the fucking thing.
So stupid.
And then whilst it's happening, someone approaches you and is like, there's problems in the French fry forest. The thing called the hunger.
Yeah.
Ooh, so you go and sort that out and you go, oh, hooray! Well, Queen Wendy has a job for you, and it's like, well, we've heard that this terrible clown from the United Nation of Clowning, I think it's called, or something like that. It's so stupid.
Yep.
They are trying to send their frozen minions to try and take our stuff, and we can't let that happen. So I'm going to ask you to go and sort that out, essentially. And then you go on a various quest. There's like a lighting of the Bacon Beacon, which I'll come to in a second. Makes no sense.
What?
There's a place called the Biggie Vale, which I assume is a reference I will never get.
Honestly, I don't know if I know it either.
Super.
So, and I've lived here my whole life.
Right.
So,
right. It's one of those
I don't
things
know.
where, again, I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
There's different places you go. And then at the end, you go for the big boss battle with an enemy you've already fought along the way, and then this terrible clown thing. And he will be like, I'll get you next time, you meddling children, as it melts into the ground. And then you return back, and then there's a couple of other places you could go, like Nuggeton and Costa de la Spicy. Again,
good name.
Great names. Again, places you're like, this will never get anywhere in the book. And that is it. And the reason I've gone over it so quickly is because that is the path you take.
Yep.
It is incredibly linear.
Yep.
Anytime you come to a place, like for example, in the first bit, you're in the city, everything's great. Go, we want to go over here. Oh, where the Queen's Palace is. There's guards saying, nope, you can't go here. And they go, but if you try to talk to them, they will not have it. If you try to fight one of them, they slap you, which is hilarious. There's a lot of slapping in this game.
Is that in the book? It's like they slap. Okay.
They slap you.
Okay.
You take 1 hit point of damage.
That's really funny. Okay.
A lot of times, if you don't do something, you get slapped. It's really weird.
So funny. I'm wondering if that's a bit where they're just like, we don't have enough time to write this stuff.
Stop
but
it. No,
don't go off the beaten path. But also, there are so many good writers that will write 1-page dungeons, single pages of it's like, here you go, here's 1-page dungeon with the map on the page, right? And they'll be like, here's all the things you need to know about this entire dungeon, and it's 1 page for a one-shot. And it's like, I feel like this is a lot of content for a linear story, right? I guess, I don't know. Sorry.
No, but then it's interesting, again, talking about dungeons. So obviously there's a couple of maps in here which look very good, but when you look at them, for example, the French fry forest, try saying that several times.
No, I don't want to, but you've already done the work for both of us.
I'm trying my best. When you look at it, if you follow it through, it's just like 1, 2, 3, 4. There's no different paths you take. You can go into a different room and get some gold coins or a golden chicken nugget that you can then dump in a ranch fountain. It's a story bit. It makes no sense. But what's even more interesting is that as you go through each bit, the forest behind you shuts off, so you can't go out.
Okay.
So it moves you forward.
Gosh.
You have no choice. No way to implement. And of course, all the monsters are all like, oh, it's hunger pangs. And you're like, great, I go to another area, there's nothing here. Oh, it's treasure. It's hunger pangs. And you're like,
great.
No, you've got to have something different. And there's a couple of basic riddles and stuff like that, which I'm always like, that's great. But it just was there's I can't even remember how many places there are in the French fry forest. So I'll have a look. I think it's 12 or so places. There we go. 19 places.
Wow.
You just go around in a squiggly circle. It's on page 41. It's just so bad.
What in the world? Oh, you're right. I'm looking at it right now. I mean, the map's good.
The map's really good.
Yeah. But then, I look through it and I'm like, wow, that really is just a straight line. And after you go through here, if it closes up, it's like, well, all right. There's
a bit where you could go, I'll go around. Oh, it's a dead end. Oh, okay, you come back out. Yep. And then you it's...
What? I feel like it's not even that hard to write branching paths in something like this, because it's just like, hey, man, maybe it's just not a dead end. Maybe it's just not, and that's okay. So, I don't know.
I will say my favourite bit in this whole campaign, again, all of it is very much like, as you said, vibes.
Yeah.
So there is in the French fry forest, there is a puzzle. And I'm going to read it out to you because I think you're going to enjoy it. So it goes, you come across a second large stone door. As you walk up to it, a stone tray slides out. On the tray is a stone frosty, which what seems to be a stone spoon and a stone carton of French fries. An inscription on the door appears and it says, dip one, but choose wisely. Then, just before you are about to go and do anything, two women with, no quote, an otherworldly aura interrupts them.
There's no description of an aura. They just like, the aura is otherworldly. Yeah. There's no like descriptiveness about it. It's like, yeah, they glow. It's like, no. You can just tell.
Yeah. And it goes, so the name's T, the first says. That name's only for me, and that's the T, the second says. Forgive her, she's unsweet, and that's the T, the first retorts. How rude of her to be this unsweet, and that's the T, the second claps back. The inscription on the door changes and slowly spells out, before you stands sweet tea and unsweet tea. One is always truthful, one is always giving falsehoods. Ask either of them one question to decide which to dip. The right choice will allow you to move on. The wrong choice leads to regret.
Okay. What happens if you fail? Does it give you any description of what happens if you fail?
No. Okay. You get to go through it, but...
Okay. All right.
But it's again, it's that whole thing about one of us always tells the truth and one of us always lies.
Yeah,
but it's combining two things together, and it makes no sense.
Also, like, as a DM, having to do that interaction feels like a nightmare.
It is you talking to yourself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It does say the T's will always end their answer with the phrase, and that's the T. It's just a thing they do. And then it says,
funny, at a glance.
And it says, for your sanity, make the one on the right sweet tea and the one on your left sweet tea.
Okay, at least they put that in there so that it's not insane.
You're just doing this back and forth, turning your profiles to the players.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I was like, this is like a joke for 30 seconds, and someone's going to be like, well, which would this tea say which item to use?
Yeah.
You know? And that's it. But I'm just there going like, God, what a...
That feels like a lot. Like, that's so much to put in front of a DM and be like, here's all this funny shit, and then also no assistance. And it's just like, okay.
And that's the tea.
And that's the tea.
I'm just like going like the things that I like silly bits like that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying the things that my players will go, cool, we are talking to these women for the rest of time.
Yes. Also, how can we bring them with us for the entire campaign? Yeah. And it's like, oh my gosh, I would have to figure out like what to do, and like I would have to make this joke last for so long, and it would drive me up the wall.
And it doesn't say they. Does it say they disappear? No, they don't.
They just stand there for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, that's it.
They actually, if you backtrack, which you can't,
then they're like goodbye.
And then they're consumed by the forest, never to be heard from again, and the trees eat them. Because once again, we are talking about cannibalism. So
that's exactly it. Yeah. The only kinds of choices you do get is essentially at various times there are festival games you can go to. So this is on page 48.
Yeah.
There's like the pig races, which is just like you're rolling d4s essentially, and you're just counting up those things. Going 4 for 4, which is like a luck game essentially, and then you have Biggie and Strong, which is just like a test your strength kind of game.
Yes.
Which I don't mind. It's not the end of the world, but of course people are going to play these games. But you can only play these games once you've done the French fry forest. You can't do them beforehand. So
I feel like if you really wanted to, you could play these games.
I give you permission. If you are someone who's gone, this sounds like fun after like an hour of us going like,
Yeah.
I'm sure you could take the idea and go like, festival games in, you know?
The great thing is, if I'm looking at this correct, it is completely constrained to page 48. You could cut only page 48 out. Use it in whatever campaign you want. You could use this Wendy's material.
Exactly.
And I also, I would say, they're going 4 for 4. They really did. They keep using it.
Yeah.
They really don't stop using it.
We've got the funny joke. We're going to keep hitting it as a result. Yeah. Like you have like NPCs like the Beef Bandit, which is like the Hamburglar, who has like in their own little thing goes, oh, we've had our fun and now you're in for a real treat. I hope you're ready for the toy that comes with your meal because you won't be happy to come face to face with, I think, the Freshtovia. And then this huge horrific being comes down and goes, tee-hee-hee, and it runs off. It's,
what?
Yeah, it's...
Wait, who is... the Freshtovia?
A great flailing ice tentacles burst through the side of the cart as splintered wood scatters across the ground. With a hunchback and still deep black eyes, a creature's face emerges. Tentacles sway from it. The creature's arms are jagged with frozen crystals, leading to long, sharp fingers cursed with the ice of the deep freeze.
Oh my gosh.
The beast lets out a guttural roar of a hidden and dark and forgotten language before lunging out to attack. So it's horrific and scary. I think there's the artwork is of it. Yeah, that's the artwork of it. Yeah, that's the art. Oh my gosh.
So what page is that?
That's page 55.
What in the world? This thing is terrifying.
It's pretty terrifying.
Honestly, great Eldritch horror art, to be honest.
One of its skills is face hugger, so it pulls onto an opponent's face with its tentacles and squeeze hard, doing a 1d12 plus 1 physical damage.
That's awesome.
Again, great idea.
Yeah.
What? It's like, ha-ha, release the pretty.
Yeah. And that was, dude, this thing is actually great. Yeah. I love this.
This is a spoiler. It comes back for the finale because it's the one idea that they have.
Yeah, they're like, this art was good. We have to reuse it.
Yes, exactly. But the big bit I want to sort of talk about is that this lighting the beacon at Bacon's place or whatever it's called, Bacon Beacon, the lighting of Bacon Beacon. This is the third part. So you go like, okay, we're going to go warn people. We'll light things and we'll rally around this place. You're on your way there. You can see the beacon. You're about to go there, and then you're stuck in place as I believe Constable Von Freeze appears.
Okay,
freezes you in place.
Yes.
And again, if you try to argue with him, he sort of goes, "Stop arguing," and slaps you.
And then you get frozen anyway.
Classic. You were then taken to the Ice Jester's playhouse. And presumably, this is your nightmare version of a soft play area.
Okay.
Again, you've got some really cool maps. Again, looking great. But again, the problem is they're all very linear. So you start off in the ball pit.
Yep.
You make it through the tunnels. You're looking at the rumble room.
Yep.
And then the room with view. And the idea that every time you go up, you see the room with view as you're getting closer and closer to where this beacon is.
Yeah.
But again, some interesting ideas that don't follow through with anything. It's either like, oh, well, there's a mimic. Cool, or there's burger pangs or hunger pangs, the fry bandits and all these sort of things.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, I just want to get out of here. There's nothing fun about this dungeon. Other than it looks incredible.
Yeah, again, the art's good. Yeah. But come on. I don't know. Wait, hold on. Okay, I'm even seeing, but these ones at least, it does look like they can be done in a couple different orders, kind of. But
it kind of does link back on yourself, and it doesn't necessarily change anything about it. That's the sad part of it. So I think, again, it's like, what if we did a dungeon in a soft play area? And we're like, great, love that. And then they've gone, that's all we got, but we're going to have 4 levels of this thing.
Yeah.
So they're going like, I think you need 12 rooms.
I feel like
done, you know?
You could just a good dungeon crafter will basically make multiple rooms, and then they will put things for other rooms in different rooms, so that you have to backtrack and go to different places and well, sorry, this is my opinion of how this will look. But then all of a sudden I'm like, I found this thing for this other room and I want to go back there. And that changes the paradigm of how you view those different places. But when it's all linear like this, it's like, oh, look at this funny joke, bye, and that's it, right? Yeah. And that does really reduce the replayability. So I don't know if anybody will ever replay it. So
because the one thing I would compare it to, and I appreciate you might not have looked at it, but is the Rick and Morty D&D starter set.
No, I don't think I did.
It's fine in the sense of if you love Rick and Morty, then you'll enjoy the thing. But again, they have, I think, 25 rooms, and there's different ways you can get it, and it's written in that humour. Rick is the GM essentially, so you can be as rude to the players as you want, all that sort of thing. But what's great about it is that each room is thematic to what the game is, but you can go in any order, or it feels like you said, I made a choice. This is the consequence of it. Whereas here, it's like, okay, I guess I'll follow this. Okay, oh look, it's the mucho pan, the extra bun version, and you're like, cool, the mini boss, and it's going to hit me. It just takes all the fun out of it, and it's a shame because it's again cool on the initial read through, and as soon as you look at it, it's like, the GM's going to have to make it really interesting.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of hard work, especially when you've got like 60 pages of this.
I think also what I think this suffers from too is that they want everybody to play through all of the content, right?
Right.
There's no content in here where it's like, this is okay to miss, right? Because I think one of the best things that you can do as a GM is write something that you like and accept that your players will never touch it if they don't want to, right?
Absolutely.
Because you want to offer your players the ability to choose for themselves what they're interested in, right? And sometimes if they are in a dungeon and they're like, I'm not interested in this section of the dungeon, then great, you don't do it. And if you really want to do it, you can just move it, right? Yeah. But like this doesn't really offer a lot of that ability because of the way that it looks linear. And this is my takeaway from hearing you talk about it and watching the maps as you're talking.
And it's a really good point. So like part 4, then the Biggie Vale, what's really interesting is that you're set up and they're like, okay, you can go to these places. If you go to Biggie Vale before lighting the beacon, you cannot get in because a wall of wind pushes you back onto the path.
Is there a reason for that?
No reason. I think it's just like...
Why no slabs?
The only reason it could be is like, and then suddenly, when you have listened to the beacon, a huge like frostbird comes down, but then you can easily defeat it. Who knows? It's just, I think, it wants you to do these certain things and these certain set pieces, but... And also, I'd say...
But I'm pissed. I want them to slap.
Yeah.
Like, because if they're going to set up a bit, they got to follow through.
On the third time,
exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
But the only thing that's interest of the Biggie Vale thing is that you can get a reading from, like, a tarot reader, and depending on what they do, so your strength of character, your mystic connection, and a fortune as well, you can gain extra percentage rolling on random tables as well. But then it says, like, you do that for each player. And I'm thinking, there's could be a lot of players who maybe get the same thing, and as an interesting thing, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't go to, like, there's nothing else in this town. You defeat the bird and you're like, great, you rest here briefly and then you go to the big freeze, I guess.
Yeah, but there's like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different places that you can go in here. But if nothing else is very interesting, then like, what do you do?
There's no side quests because they don't want you to go on any side quests, and that kind of is a bit meh.
That's weird. Yeah, I feel like, why are you offering me? If that's the case, then why am I here? Yeah. Why am I even in the Biggie Vale? I don't know. The cemetery is just like, okay, so if you think it would be fun to dig up a grave, you can be punished for digging up a grave in the cemetery.
Oh, yes.
If it's not a 15 or higher on an Arcana save, you take a d6 of magic damage, and that's it.
Well, every time you hit the ground, you could take that damage.
Yeah.
And even then, when you dig up something, if you manage to push it all the way through, the thing attacks you. And it's just to say, the GM says, because I'm disappointed that you're doing this bad thing. And I'm like,
what?
For a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this feels overly cruel.
Yeah.
Like, we've all got players who do silly things. And like, I'm gonna make your life a living hell. And you're like, cool, I don't like this though.
Yeah.
I could just be like, hey, there is nothing for you there. You can keep digging. Is that your turn? Cool. What's everyone else doing? That's how you punish people. Yeah. You don't punish people by like giving them damage, because then they go, "Oh, there's something down there."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so odd, because I feel like I'm looking at this. I'm like, they put up a whole system of like, you're punished for doing this. There's nothing else there. It's just punishment. It's like, why is it here? Like, what's the point?
Even also on page,
what's the interest in
on
there?
page 77. So this is like, you're in the final big dungeon, right? You can see there's a map on this one. It's called Below the Frozen Lake. So this is like level 2 of the main dungeon, and you can see number 2 is the path north. So I'm going to read out what happens in this. So the path north is a smaller tunnel, much like those in the floor above. It runs about 25 feet until it opens to a circular room roughly 20 feet across. The centre of the room is a large, dark abyss. It's a seemingly bottomless hole. There's a 1-foot ledge from the walls of the room to the edge of the hole. And if a party drops an item down it, they'll hear it clack off the sides of the hole until they hear nothing. They hear nothing hit, and they never hear it hit the bottom. And then it goes like, if a player jumps in the hole, they will scream until their sound fades, and they will find themselves back in the room below the lake with a permanent -1 reduction to their baseline intelligence state. This really is just a bottomless hole, where the party will almost definitely do something very stupid here, so be ready. I think that's not nice.
No.
I feel like, because you want to reward... people can absolutely fall down a hole. Yeah. And then you're like, cool, that's them. But like, I feel like it's just a mean thing to do when the rest of the book isn't mean. Yeah. It's making fun of it's punching up at people. Yeah. But I feel like this is punching down. Yeah. Because like, especially if you're like, well, there must be a choice here I need to make. They've put this big black hole here. Yeah. I've thrown an item down. I should go down. Like,
yeah. I mean, and especially because what if they I don't know, like, there might be a feather fall effect in this game. I can't remember. Sure. But, like, if they're feather falling down the hole, and it's like, well, I'm just going to keep doing that until I hit the ground.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, do I take a -1 to my intelligence then? Like, but, like, when you offer a punishment like that, like, it's only funny at a glance to the D. It's like, oh, like, this was crazy. Like, he. And then it's like, okay, but when you're actually playing the game, it's just like such a dud of a moment, right? There's no interest there. It's like, okay, there's punishment. It's like, as a player, I feel like I would be trying to figure out, okay, is there like a reason for this? Like, right. Or is there something I'm supposed to get here?
You're trying to be creative.
Yeah.
And it's punishing creativity.
It's punishing creativity, and that's the worst thing you can do in D&D.
And I think, obviously, I appreciate the way I've talked about it, there's not much in terms of your choices impacting the story.
Yeah.
So now you're like, well, must be it. This will help us get an advantage in the last thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if you get here, I think you'd have stopped by the time you finish the French fry forest, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I just thought to myself, God, that's so mean. Yep. And, like, I think you should absolutely have something at the bottom.
Yeah.
But then it's a ton of skeletons, and you got the special sword and or the special spoon or whatever, and now you're trying to climb your way back out. And you have things follow you.
Options, but, like, man, that just feels really weird.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why you would need something like that. I don't understand why you would need the digging up the graves. Like, these things just feel like kind of like, here's just some punishment for the sake of punishment. Yeah. And that doesn't feel good. Because, like, once again, D&D is such an improvisational game, right? And you want to be yes-anding people. Like, if they're being creative, you gotta foster that.
It definitely feels like they said, okay, we've sat down the intern, tell us about some D&D stuff. And he goes, oh, well, we had this thing where they were like, the necromancer was like, I'm going to pick up some skeletons. And, like, that's what their whole thing. Like, okay, well, we're going to stop that.
Yeah.
We're going to stop that. We want them to play the game.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, that sounds like a big horror story. I know. Well, we'll sort these problems.
Yeah.
It sounds like people are trying to fix problems if they've never played a D&D. Yeah. I'd be interested to know if anyone on this project played through these adventures.
Yeah.
Because even the one shot that we watched wasn't that adventure. Like, it had bits of it.
Yeah.
It was Sam Riegel's own bit on it. And I'm just going, like, who would... Again, this is way too long of an adventure anyway, but, like, who would play it? Like, what does it look like?
Yes.
And again, we all know that all adventures like this, like, there won't be all, like, exactly scene for scene, but it's just like, I can't imagine getting to the end of this and being satisfied.
If someone ran this for me, like, beat for beat, as it is written, I would be like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because it's like, okay, I get it. We're playing a Wendy's ad. Like, that's fine. But also, like, it's like, as I'm playing through it, I don't feel like I'm actually going to enjoy any of the potential creative solutions that I do. I don't even feel like the GM is going to enjoy themselves, right? So, because, I mean, as a GM, when my players have fun, I have fun, right? And when my players are upset at a decision from some module that I'm running, that sucks because I chose that module too, right? So
exactly, the GM is a storyteller and a player at the same table. So overall, I do find it an interesting thing. Like, again, it's such a weird one to look at back. Obviously, I don't have any nostalgia for it. Obviously, you've seen it, and it's just an interesting thing where, on the surface of it, incredible art. But then when you dive into it, it is something that definitely could have done with a couple more revisions, make it shorter, make it more interesting, But again, clearly a lot of work went into it, but something that didn't really pay off in the end, unfortunately. So it's kind of it's a really weird misnomer in a way. And especially, like, as I said, like, there's so many supplements now which involve food. I talked about Silverplate. There's, like, the one from Evil Hat just now where you are playing, like, a retired adventurer who's set up their own tavern. Yeah. And it's just all little mini games. And it's about, like, how food brings people together and how you're trying to let go of your past into something. So, I'm just interested that this kind of was one of the early ones and wasn't successful. So
and even I'm looking at page 80 here, it has a big to be continued at the end. Like, I think it's going back to this, like, man, like, you're right, maybe they kind of thought that this could eventually keep going, but, like, it definitely feels like it lived out its best life as, like, a joke that Critical Role could do, but I don't think that to me this rings out of maybe kind of like missing the mark of understanding the audience, right? Because it says, like, maybe you'll continue playing, and it's like, Yeah, I feel like you have to have really good content, and like it can't just be the jokes.
Yeah.
Like it has to actually be good stuff. And you know, unfortunately, you know, like again, at a glance it's fun, right? At a glance it's funny, right? But once you start to really dive into this stuff, like we've been talking about with the adventure, like it kind of falls apart, right?
Yeah.
So
I wonder, again, I'm thinking about, again, if I was going to like have a run at this, have a stab at this, obviously would not run this adventure, but I think back to like, I know I keep going on about how much food is a big part of it. Like we've got the D&D cookbook, for example. And again, thinking about the VOD I watched about Sam making up a game where we're just stuffing as many French fries in our mouth and go for it.
Yeah.
I think challenges within consent and stuff about eating or like taking shots on one of them or like tomato juice on one of them is a spicy one and like trying not to react, all that sort of thing. I think those could be fun. It reminds me a lot of, I don't know if you, I assume you've seen Labyrinth, the film.
I think I have.
The David Bowie film.
Yes, yeah.
So there's an RPG based on that, and what's interesting about that is that a lot of each page is a room or a sort of place in it. Yeah. And some of them are, you know, just obviously us just talking or something, but some of them could be like, you are in a room that looks exactly like the room you are playing this game in. Yeah. Or you've got like a physical thing that you can do and play. Oh, and so I love RPGs where you're, you know, ideally you're together, but then it goes, cool, it's about food or it's about this. How can you make that part of the game and make it interesting? I think this is the thing, like it would have been more interesting rather than having that the orders of the different food items is like, cool, what could you do with a chicken sandwich? You know, like what can you do with like food here that will make it feel real? That is within everyone's comfort. Like I don't want to force feed people doing like hot dog eating contests or anything like that, but that's what I'm thinking to myself, is that would make it more interesting to me. How can we get that, you know, just because Sam was like, fuck it, eat French toast, let's go, you know.
Yeah, and I think that was honestly
the best bit.
I think that was the best bit. So if I think back, because wasn't Iffy on that?
Iffy's on that. Yeah,
it was so good. I remember Iffy being like, I was like, I really like this guy. Yes. I think it was the first time I'd ever seen Iffy. And I remember like, you know, seeing him come up a lot more through Dropout and stuff like that recently. And just being like, I watched this guy eat a bunch of MF French fries on the Wendy's one shot. That's so weird. So,
absolutely.
Either way, it's very cool. I really like. I mean, like I like a lot of the art. I like a lot of the ideas, but like, very much still at a glance.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, like, okay. Oh my gosh, what the heck? Even they've got really good art spreads on page like 95 got, like, and
concept art. Yeah.
What?
Which is wild.
Good.
Yeah, it's so interesting that they just like the Ice Jester, who is the Ronald McDonald of this. Yeah, really interesting.
Even on page 94, you have like the size of the Frista. Like you can see like the human size next to it, and it's huge. It's so cool.
Big guy, man, absolutely.
I like a lot, but I feel like the artists went so hard, and then like the rest of this is like pretty good.
Yeah,
but like. You know.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Alan, I can hear our own eldritch creature trying to get out of the basement, so let us wrap up for now. Thank you so much for indulging me in this. Like I said, it's been on my list for a long time, so I'm just going, I'm sure this is an interesting part. And everyone's gone, no, and now I understand why.
Yes.
Is there anything you'd like to plug or anything you'd like to recommend to people who've been listening to this?
Yeah, so recently I've been doing more voice acting. So if you ever are watching the Big Ten football games sometime soon, if you listen to the person doing the commercial there, I will be on that. So that will be kind of cool as an Easter egg for people to find.
Amazing.
So that's all I really got though. But otherwise, that's it for me. I mean, okay, as a sign off, what would you give this? Like from 0 to 10 Baconators.
I was going to say, is it Baconator?
Yes. Or slaps in the face. I don't know.
I don't know about slaps in the face. I think this is a 10 slaps in the face of like, ow.
Yeah. Yes.
I think I'd give this one solid baked potato is what my
honestly, that's a really good rating. Honestly, depending on your decisions on baked potatoes. Yes, I agree.
It's a plain baked potato, so there's nothing on top of it, which is a bit of a shame.
Honestly, fair.
What about you? What are your Baconator?
You know what?
Is it just the clamshell wrapping? Is that what it is?
Yeah, but it's a bunch of chili in clamshell wrapping. So it's like you're trying to carry your chili home, and you're like, oh my god, this is not a bowl, and it's just spilling everywhere. But it's like, you know that there's going to be chili in there at home, and you can enjoy what's left.
Yeah.
But man, it's going to make a mess.
Yeah. Feels like what we're saying is that we've got Baconator at home. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And honestly, the Baconator at home is 5e. So.
Yeah, fair.
Well, yeah, thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. Well, we'll definitely have you back on again, because I'd be interested to talk about draw steel a lot more.
Definitely.
I think that's definitely one that's on our list. But yeah, thank you so much, Alan, for indulging this indulgence.
Gosh. Honestly, we cannot make this many puns. It's done enough. It's done it enough for us already.
I'm chewing it over. That's
All right. Bye.
Bye.